Welcome to our Teens Dress Less kit demo with the Public Library of Brookline. My name is Robin, and I'm a teen librarian at the Brookline Village Library. I'm here today to show all of you how to make origami suncatchers and mobiles. Is this your first Public Library of Brookline to Go program? Here's how it works. Each month, the library is offering new take-home program kits, complete with everything you need to follow along and video or written instructions created by one of your local librarians. The best part? Absolutely no due dates. You can keep everything included in your kit. Visit brklib.com to go for a full list of our current kit offerings and follow the link there, or visit brklib.com/eventbrite to reserve yours for free pickup at any library location. Now let's get going. For this month's kit, you should have a number of sparkly beads, some lengths of fishing line, and a stack of translucent origami paper. There should be a range of colors. You will also need a needle and a pair of scissors. First, we're going to show you a number of designs that you can make that you can use to build the suncatcher patterns. Most of them are star or flower shaped with multiple petals that you'll make, and each sheet of paper will make one part of the flower or star shape. And then we'll show you how to make the suncatcher and then a further more complicated task of creating a mobile. For this first one, you want to fold the paper in half so that it forms a triangle, and then unfold it again. Then you want to do the same in the other direction. Then you want to fold the point toward the center and fold it on two sides like this. Then you want to fold the edge of the paper towards the center fold so that you make a little bit of a diamond shape. Do that on both sides. As you can see, it layers together, and when you put it on a window, it will shine through to show you the different layers of color. For this second one, you want to fold the paper in half so that it forms a triangle, and then unfold it again. Then you want to do the same in the other direction. Then you want to fold the point toward the center and fold it on two sides like this. Then you want to fold the edge of the paper towards the center fold so that you make a little bit of a diamond shape. Do that on both sides. And then finally you want to fold towards the center line straight across and then unfold it again. And then you're going to use that guide of that straight line down the middle to fold in the bottom to make it a little bit more like a real petal or diamond shape. Our next shape is very simple. You want to fold it in half along the center line to make a triangle. And then you want to fold the edge of the paper towards the center to make a kite shape or a kind of diamond. And then you fold the bottom up in order to make another triangle. You unfold all of those folds you've just made. And then you want to fold a smaller triangle in from the edge of the paper as shown on both sides. Then you fold that over to make a thicker point. And then you want to fold the point of the triangle towards the inside fold. And this will make multiple petals as well. These are narrower than the regular kite-shaped ones. Finally, we're going to make some very narrow ones. So you fold your origami paper in half and then cut along that line with a pair of scissors. And then you take each rectangle and fold it lengthwise in half and then unfold it. And then you'll want to fold each corner in to make a little triangle shape on all four sides so that you get this shape. And then you want to fold them in from the edge of the paper towards the center to make another sharper point. unfold it one more time. So you've got a very thick number of folds, but you've got a sharp point at one end, and that makes for a very sharp little petal shape. And then you just keep making more in different colors. To put them all together, once you've got enough, most of these designs, you'll need 8 sheets of paper to make a full design, so you can mix and match your colors. And they all align along the center line of the petal shape, so it's easier to see how to fit them together. In this case, I'm just taping the center together a little bit to keep them in line as I get them ready to put up on a window. And I've been trying to layer them so that they go in the same direction, so that you'll have the different colors showing through in order, one on top of each other. And as you can see, you can get 8 in here, and then you get this nice array of rainbow colors for this particular Suncatcher. Now you don't have to put them all together like this in advance. You can put them up on the window instead and just use tape to secure them to the window. To make the mobile, you're going to want to create a structure that lets all of the origami hang together, and we're going to use the fishing line to do that. And the fishing line will go through the center and along the center edge of the origami that you've made. You can also add beads for decoration, but you don't have to. And keep in mind that the beads will also weigh it down a little bit. So if you want it to be less heavy, then you can leave the beads off. To get started, you want to unfold so that you have access to that center line of the folds of whichever kind of petal you're making. And then you just need to poke holes regularly through that fold line. So there are about 5 or 6 along the length of this sheet of paper, just to give you a place to thread some fishing line along that line, and that will give the whole thing structure. The easiest way to do this is to do 2 at the same time, and then you're just going to connect them with 1 strand of fishing line. Now the fishing line is pretty strong, and also you shouldn't need a needle. You should just be able to thread the fishing line through with some patience. Don't get frustrated if it takes you a few tries to get it through. It does take a little while. Once you get started, you'll be able to thread it through, going back and forth just like you would with a needle and thread, and go along the front and back of the design. This is just an easy way to make sure that it stays along that center line. You may occasionally need to open up those holes a little bit with another needle to make sure that you can get the fishing line through. So once you've threaded it through, you want to make sure to leave a little bit of line at the top of the point, and then you want to tie it off with a knot to make sure that that particular piece of paper doesn't fall off of the line. Then when you want to thread a bead on the end, you thread it through, take that loose end, and you thread it through the bead once more so that it wraps around one side of the bead, and that will help secure it so that it won't fall off that end. Then in order to tie a knot, it's a little bit tricky, but you'll have to take the loose end of the fishing line and thread it underneath the loop that's been created. And then go through it one more time to create a knot. This will allow you to tie a knot at the top, and that will help secure it so that the bead won't fall off, and also so that the whole structure will be a little bit more secure there. If you want to tie a few more knots, you can at the top, just to make sure that it stays securely on. Now once you've added the bead onto the end, you can make sure that the shape is staying on the line. So once you've threaded the bead onto the point, That helps you just adjust the fishing line to make sure that it's running flat along the inside fold, and make sure that you know where the center will be, and the center should just be at the bottom point of the petal. And you'll want to tie another knot at that center point, again to make sure that the paper itself doesn't start sliding along the fishing line. So you just tie another basic knot. It doesn't have to be too complicated. You may want to tie it a couple times to make sure that it's bigger than the hole that you poked through the piece of paper. But once that's all set, then you've got your first petal done for the mobile, and it should stay where it should on the line. Then you want to take the other side of the fishing line and thread the other side. I did opposite colors for mine so that you would want the petal to kind of make a straight line in terms of color across the design. So then you just want to do exactly the same process where you thread the fishing line through that petal, and you just do it on the other side and go all the way through. And once you've attached them both, you just want to make sure that they don't scrunch up against each other. So be careful when tying the knots at the top and at the center to make sure that there's enough room for it to lie flat. So once you've got all of your petals connected two together at a time, then you want to tie them all together. So you just lay them down at the center point where each of them now has a fishing line that marks the center. You just take another piece of fishing line and you tie a knot around both strands. And you just keep building up. So you add another layer with another color, and you take the two tails at the end of that fishing line at the center and tie it together again. And you just keep doing that until you have all 8 different petals connected at the center. And this will make sure that the center stays at the center point and gives them, again, a little bit more structure so that when you put it together, it will hang together correctly. Now you want to make sure that they're all in order in terms of the layers that you want and which colors you want to show up where. So for this next part, we just wanted to show you a little bit in animation so it's clear what we're doing. First, you want to lay the petals flat and make sure that they're lined up. And then you find the spots at the outer edge of the design just past where each of the petals overlap. You make a hole with a needle or a pin through each petal just above their intersection. And you'll need to make 2 holes so that you can thread fishing line through the whole design to give it some stability. And then you want to take your needle or your pen, and you're going to want to make a hole right at the point where each of the petals will overlap. So as you can see, if you line up the petals along that center line, and you can see where they would overlap, and you want to poke a hole through each side. And then you want to take your last bit of fishing line and you're going to thread it through in a circle so that it goes all the way around. What this will do is create a little bit of structure so that when the mobile is hanging up in a window, it will stay in a circle. They'll say held out in a flower shape. So once you get the circle all the way through and around, you just keep feeding it through those petals right at the edge where they would normally connect. And it'll look a little messy as you keep going, but once you start to get more and more petals attached in this way, they'll start to hold together and look more like your traditional flower shape. So as you can see, the fishing line now runs all the way around and keeps the structure set up the way it should. So then you just need to tie one final knot there at the bottom to make sure that that circle stays together and stays secure. You can tie a few knots. And then you just grab your pair of scissors and trim off any of the fishing line. Make sure to leave one line at the top so that you can hang it up in the window or wherever you'd like to hang it. And now you can see that this is what it looks like when they're up in the window. So the mobile itself, you can see the sun shines through and the beads do a nice little glow, and it hangs independently in the window. And then the sun catcher you can just stick up on the window as you would with anything with Scotch tape. Thank you all so much for relaxing with us today. The Tween and Teen Kits program is generously sponsored by the library trustees and the Friends of the Brookline Public Library. We would love to see what you made with your kit, so please feel free to share your project with us on social media using the hashtag BRKLIB2Go.